There we go. I had to be on stage. I had to come on stage. Ashley Francis, let me know if you can see me now. I'm realizing now that you have a really good view of my sneakers, but the joys of working from home, I get a bevy of sneakers whenever I want to. Um, Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're joining live, I would love to be able to help answer some questions that you can have. Let me see. Where are you tuning in from? What questions? What are you facing in your work in donor relations and fundraising? Love to be able to offer some advice and feedback and share what I've learned from my clients and working with them. I'm lucky enough to be a consultant and educator with the donor relations group. I have a number of different clients that I have the privilege and honor of working with, universities in Singapore, Australia, Canada, and of course the United States, independent schools, healthcare organizations. So I got a little bit of variety in my portfolio, but how can I help you? What are some questions that I can answer for you? I'd love to be able to do that for you today. I've seen our numbers jump. If you're just tuning in, Colton Withers here, filling in for Lynn Wester as she continues traveling around the world. Lynn and I just got back from a 2 week sojourn. We were in Seattle for the CASE NACE. That's Council for the Advancement and Support of Education, and then the National Association of Independent Schools conferences. So we were able to take our show on the road there, but really got a great connection with the audience and our friends there. Did a session for AFP South Sound. If you're tuning in from the South Sound, the Tacoma area, what is up? Thank you for being such great participants and making that hour with you all so joy filled. Lynn and I had an absolutely wonderful time. From there, we got a direct flight, about 16, 17 hours. Ooh, to Singapore, where we met up with some of our friends there. We've been working with our good friends at Singapore Management University for a few years now, and we were able to do an in person training for them, as well as make some new friends. Shout out to our friends at CASE Asia Pacific, Nalanjana Patel, an amazing leader there. We were able to speak with some organizations there. They had us do a session, and it was truly great. Um, we were able to kind of share that good message of donor centered fundraising and donor centered communications with a whole new audience for us. So it was really, really great. And as I mentioned, we flew back, world's longest flight from Singapore to JFK a few days ago, and Lynn is carrying forward on to Charlotte, North Carolina, where she is presenting for their local AFP chapter. I know you're in for a treat up in Charlotte, but I am here. It's a privilege to be able to be here with you all today. Where are you tuning in from? Let us know where you're tuning in from, and really let us know what challenges or issues you're facing in donor relations and fundraising. Love to be able to provide some advice and perspective for you as you do your very important work. I see that Ashley's posting on Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you, Ashley, for posting. Yeah, I see at least 13 of you. So let us know where you're tuning in from. And as well, oh, Julie, hey, Cornell, what's up? I've had the true pleasure of working with Cornell. And when I was with Purdue Musical Organizations, we did some joint concerts with the Cornell Glee Club, and it was truly a fabulous experience. Love your beautiful campus in Ithaca. So, hey, Julie, thanks for tuning in. Um, Let us know too, what are some challenges you're facing? How can we help? How can we make this a useful time for yourself? Lindsay, thanks for tuning in from St. Louis, Cardinal Glennon Children's Foundation. We do some work with a number of different children's hospitals and healthcare organizations, including Shriners International. So, a wonderful organization and certainly a worthwhile cause you're in, Lindsay. So, let us know how we can help. What are some challenges you're facing? What are some things that you're struggling with? I will tell you, in my recent travel days and being in Singapore, that it's miraculous what some of the challenges that people face. They're the same around the world, y'all. I'm not kidding. The same disconnect sometimes between our frontline partners and us in donor relations, the same donor expectations and the same difficulties in meeting them. Y'all, it is a universal language that we're speaking in the donor relations, donor experience realm. And really, I think that's such a beautiful message because it really does unite us, right? So many of us are facing similar challenges, and we can really come together to help each other no matter where we are in this big, beautiful planet of ours. Gail tuning in from UCLA. Hey, Gail. I love the greater Los Angeles area weather. It is still snowy in the Midwest here, but y'all, I did luck out. I was able to duck out of it a bit early and head to Seattle and then to Singapore. So missed kind of the snowpocalypse of 2026, if that's what you want to call it. Winter Storm Fern. I missed that one. Whew. Grateful for that. Gail, oh, Gail, thanks for a question. I Y'all keep them coming. I'll answer Gail's first since I'm seeing it first, but let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat what your issues you're facing, what challenges, and I would love to chime in. It'd be a privilege to do so, but also other people in the chat as well. We learn so much from each other. Okay, so with my friend Gail and the gorgeous UCLA who misses snow. Yes, yes. When it's a rare occurrence, it is wonderful. But I know a lot of us are feeling a little over it. All right. So, Gail, any thoughts on reporting options for a long time cross campus, meaning lots of different giving all over campus? We want to move away from just a written report each year centered around endowments and maybe do something maybe interactive or targeted to where they're most engaged. Gail, I absolutely love this question. And for those of you who are tuning in, this is such a donor centered approach, right? Of Gail's noting that they give all over, and Gail is making one donor centered report. So, love that approach from all the different areas of giving. So, I think the interactive report is a wonderful idea. Our friends at Story Raise have done some beautiful reporting. Ashley, I won't put you on the spot, but if you're able, would you be able to drop the Hawaii Community Foundation report link in the chat? I love this because yes, it is written, but it also is multi channel, right? It is a great platform to use to get out image first, really beautiful copy and videos. I've also seen some beautiful reports come out of digital alumni magazines, right? I'm a proud Boilermaker, and I've seen their Alumni Association magazine really evolve into this gorgeous, dynamic, clickable, interactive experience, and it's been super fun to see. Ashley says, one moment, please, on the Hawaii Community Foundation link. But I love this approach. So want to co-sign that as well. Oh gosh, Ashley, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to post it myself as well. So Ashley can uh, post it. Oh, thank you so much. And look at Ashley's beautiful family there. But this is a gorgeous, gorgeous report. And Story Raise is the platform. And I love this idea of an interactive report. Gail, some of the other things that I would think to include in that report or some of the longitudinal. I've seen some gorgeous examples of really that cumulative impact of giving from donors. We have some samples, of course, on our website, and I know you're familiar, Gail, but our friends at Rochester did kind of like a timeline, and I've seen some really cool. You can even do it in something as simple as Prezi of like a timeline, and it kind of moves you along. I'm thinking of like following the bouncing ball and like those old sing along videos, but it allows you to be able to see what the cumulative milestones of impact are, especially for our donors that are giving cross campus and at leadership giving amounts. It'd be amazing to see, like, your 100th student received a scholarship, and it doesn't matter, right? They may have more than one scholarship, but you have your scholarships have been awarded to 100 students. Or maybe you do a little retroactive. What if you did a report that said, these are your first awardees from your scholarship, and here they are now, and have them do some thank you videos and allowed them to kind of record and upload a video. Doesn't have to be thank you, but it's easy to use and to collect that data through thank you, and you just have them do an update where they are now. I think that's so interesting, and donors love that kind of information, and they so rarely get it. So I think that that would be valued. Of course, these are all very student life, student support focused, but you could do the same thing really if they give for facilities. I think we could find some really good examples of your graduating class from the facility. When I worked at Purdue Musical Organizations, we had a brand new building. And so it was really cool to see that fifth year, because we were able to say these students have never known a Purdue musical organization's experience outside of Ralph and Betty Bailey Hall. And what a cool opportunity that is to be able to shape um, their journey, because everything that we do is inside of this facility. So yes, it's that brick and mortar, but you're really shaping the experience, the programming and the connections that these students, the learnings they're really having are happening because of you inside of this facility. If they're supporting faculty, think about kind of a retroactive on that particular faculty fund, and have some faculty members talk about what they were able to accomplish in a long-term view. I think it'd be also a good opportunity to core, create once, repurpose everywhere. Maybe take some of those early reports for your longtime donors and see what the cumulative impact has been, right? So when we started funding, Professor X, I think that's an X-Men character, but we're going to go with it. Professor X, mentioned this particular project that they were working on. Here's an update on that now, 5, 10, 15 years later, and the progress they were able to make because of your support. So lots of really exciting things that you can do, Gail. I'm so grateful that you asked this question, and even more grateful that your mind is already going to one report for the collective donors' generosity, the collective philanthropic footprint, if you will, on UCLA's campus, and creating a donor-centered report for them. So love the questions. I'll answer Lindsay and Adam from Sonoma State. I'm so glad you found us there on Facebook. Adam, if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in the chat. I would love to be able to provide some context, feedback, insights on whatever challenges or questions that you may have. So think about that. Oh, thanks. You're welcome, Gail. All right, Lindsay says, and Lindsay, for those of you who are just now tuning in, Lindsay works at Cardinal Glennon Children's Foundation in St. Louis, so healthcare. So Lindsay writes, we are building a new hospital, should be completed by 2027. Would you suggest creating highly personalized donor impact reports? Should these be produced for our 7 and 8 figure donors? And is there something to be said about waiting at least a year after the hospital has been set up and running so that we have impact to report on? Lindsay, this is an awesome, awesome question. So, what I have seen, Lindsay, and if you haven't already done so, please go take a look at our impact report samples. We have several, and the one that comes to mind is Texas Children's, Lindsay. We have had an amazing report, and what they were able to do is show the impact in terms of patients served. And they basically they told the narrative. They said this new hospital is helping us fill an already over full capacity. And because of you, we are able to take our beds from X to Y. And this new facility is making that possible, which you are making possible through your philanthropy. So that was on our resource library. Thanks, Ashley, for dropping that in the chat. The example I'm thinking of is Texas Children's, and it was so well done. It was super clean and organized, but that was one I would look at. But as far as your question goes about do you wait at least a year? I would not, Lindsay. And here's the reason why because a lot of folks are making pledges and pledge payments right now, right? So they are making these pledge payments, and AFP stats on this, according to the Fundraising Effectiveness Project, hosted and compiled, that's the word, by AFP, we're averaging about 80 to 90% pledge rate fulfillment. And that's awesome, particularly when you look at the fact that donor retention nationwide average hovers between 40 and 50% um, across all segments. But if you think about the difference between 80 to 90% pledge fulfillment in the context of a $400 million campaign, right? That 10% differential adds up. So we want Cardinal Glennon's Children's Foundation to be as close to that 90% national benchmark as possible because we want all of that money coming in. And we know from research and from our time working with clients at DRG that pledge fulfillment is directly tied to the quality of the impact reporting they receive. Penelope Burke and many others have, and I'm going to get my book now. This is with me at all times. Penelope Burke, Donor Centered Fundraising, says that donors want two things in order to keep giving. One is a prompt and personal thank you for their gift. And then two is a report later that shows how their impact made a difference. So when you're thinking about pledge fulfillment, reporting is the best way to go. So I would not wait until your hospital is up and running. What I would start doing is start getting testimonials about anticipated impact, showing videos or construction updates, talking about progress and anticipated hiring and research and patient care, right? I would start telling the story right now and showing how philanthropy is making all of this possible. So, whatever your case for support is, Lindsay, for this new hospital, I would start providing updates on the, I guess, progress to case, if you will, right now, because we know that pledge fulfillment is so important. And I hope this does not happen for you, but capital campaigns tend to run so overdue. Oof, I hate that part. But yeah, capital campaigns do tend to run behind, run off schedule. So I would start that impact reporting right now. And again, if you don't have like realized stats, I would just talk about progress on your case for support, right? What is being done to prepare for the facility, right? Because the facility is the shell, but the people and the programs and the patients that are inside, that is really what you can start reporting on and getting ready. Even if it's just testimonials of we're ramping up our hiring efforts because we're going to hire more registered nurses. Nurses, I love you. We're gonna my husband is an ICU nurse, and I have a special place in my heart for healthcare heroes, healthcare workers. But we are hiring more nurses. We're getting ready to be, ready for all of these new patients that we're going to be able to serve because of you, right? And that's the magic phrase. BOY, because of you, because of your support, because of your visionary trust and belief in our mission. So, Lindsay, I love this question. I hope that it helps. I would not wait, and I would definitely try. You said, should this be produced for our 7 and 8 figure? Absolutely. In fact, I would try, if you can, to even scale it down a little bit further. So maybe the 7 and 8 figure donors get a much more tailored impact report, but then maybe some of the other leadership donors, maybe I'm thinking the 6 figure donors, get a more general update and an impact. So yeah, definitely would not wait for that, Lindsay. And I hope that this has been helpful. Let me know in the chat if that's helpful. If you have any follow-up questions or feedback, would love to see how I can be as helpful to you as possible. Matthew, it's so good to see you too. Matthew is our friend from Matthew Reynolds from Rustic Roots. Matthew, we are grateful for your friendship and partnership. Great, great human being, great organization. Adam from Sonoma State writes, like so many of us, we have experienced a lot of leadership transition. I'd love some thoughts on rolling out yet another president to our donors. Oh, the first thing when I read that was yet another mail merge, right? But in your case, Adam, it's yet another president, right? Or yet another leadership transition. Y'all, yet another leadership transition. And you're spot on in saying that it can be fatiguing for our donors to constantly have this leadership transition. I'll tell you that you're not alone. And in fact, there was a study of higher ed presidents. There's a professional association that's escaping my mind. And what we see is just this dramatic fall in the length of tenure. Because, y'all, higher ed, it's a hard place and it's lonely at the top and it's kind of a thankless job. So, unfortunately, I don't see the tenure problem getting better anytime soon. Definitely on trend to keep getting shorter. But as far as rolling it out to our donors, Adam, one of my internship projects many, many moons ago at Purdue University was working on the communications and transition plan to welcome and onboard President Mitch Daniels as our university's president. So, have some experience doing that. And I think the number one takeaway I could give you without knowing a lot of Sonoma State's story is that donors want to hear from us first. Penelope Burke, you're going to hear me talking about her a lot. I love her. Here's the book. Penelope Burke says donors consistently are when asked for what they want, they consistently name 3 things: access, information, and experience. And the information is they want to know behind the scenes before the general public. So, as part of your communications and transition rollout plan, I would love if you could work with your Marcoms team to get an embargo on public releases until you're able to notify your donors. Yes, yes, once donors are notified, it is public, right? We are kind of savvy with that, but hold the press release until you're able to personally talk to donors, right? So if you're live on Friday, Adam, I would work so hard with my Marcom team to be able to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to be able to do some personal outreach. So pull some lists. You're looking at not only leadership donors, but loyal, long-time donors, right? Lifetime, the 3 L's, lifetime leadership and loyalty, to kind of create a pool of these are our most important donors on a lot of different factors at Sonoma State. I'm going to encourage you to go deeper than the dollar amount, right? Because donors are round people, and those loyal donors may have your Sonoma State in their estate plan. So you don't want to forget about them. But Have a plan and work with your frontline prospect managers to do some personal outreach. So, phone bank, call, email, text everyone in your portfolio. Ask that they not share the release publicly until they get word on Friday via, a general type email. But I'm telling you first. A lot of times with these communications, we only have a day or two ahead of time. So that's why it's so important to activate that good network now. For those who are your principal or leadership donors, have the message be, our leadership is putting aside some time on their calendars for a listening tour. That was really important for us when we were doing the transition at Purdue is we want to hear from you. And we worked with the president's office, admin team, chief of staff to say, how can we start getting some time blocks on the calendar now for these principal donors to get to know this new president, this new leader of our university. So you're kind of thinking a two-prong approach really, right? Is what can you communicate ahead of time and to whom? And then have that next step be our new president, he, she, they are going on a listening tour. And we really are encouraging you and we'll be reaching out to you for a time to get to know them personally. And then maybe you do another release to your leadership donors that goes right before the general announcement. So leadership annual giving type donors, or maybe even any donor, right, gets one from you before the general press announcement starts to come. If you are already, Adam, in the situation where you are kind of saying, oh, well, they're already here, Colton, that would have been nice 3 months ago. I can't underestimate enough that second prong of the listening tour. And I would literally call it some variation of a listening tour. Get to know you, Sonoma State welcome, right? And those visits I have found, and I will tell this to fundraisers until I'm blue in the face. Help me understand what it means to be a Sonoma State supporter. I am new. That is such a valuable phrase. So, for those of you who are new in your roles and working with donors, help me reach out to your most longest tenure donors or some of your leadership donors and say, hey, Colton, you really understand what it means to be a Sonoma State supporter. I'd love it if you would be willing and enough to provide some of your time to help me understand what I need to know when working with donors. Boom. What a great ask, right? You're asking me for some of that feedback. For those, for those who are a little bit more national, international, I would definitely recommend working with the president's team to do some on the ground kind of travel tours. I know that in donor relations, we don't always have a say in that, but really you can be an advocate for that, kind of talking to people about, hey, this is important. Here are our major alumni hubs. Here are major donor hubs. Here's where they intersect. And, how can we get the new president in front of as many people as possible? I would also encourage you to set up a recurring presidential leadership communication, right? So nobody like, oh, a newsletter. I'm overjoyed. But if there is an existing leadership annual giving leadership donor communication vehicle, I would ask my new president to put in a column, and it can be a video interview. Maybe you have it be from a student ambassador and they ask some fun questions. This is like fun get to know you stuff so they get to see and experience the human side of donors. Because listen, they're going to get this is my presidential serious headshot face. They're going to get a lot of the PR stuff and the president's vision from other places. But you know, hey, new president, where's your favorite place to work on campus that's not your office? Oh, I like to work in the quad and the union. That was my favorite place. And what's your go-to playlist when you're in the zone and trying to focus? Just kind of humanizing that new president and letting people see that they are more than just the figurehead. So if you already have that if you already have that mechanism, of a recurring communication feature, I'd put that in. Otherwise, I would start, maybe a page on the website for those type of videos, and then periodically link out to them. Again, nobody wants a newsletter. I'm not really advocating for, new president gets new newsletter to all of these people. I'm trying to find out where I can plug your new president into existing channels and communications and showing donors the human side of them. Because ultimately people give to people, right? And if your president is going to be an effective fundraising president, donors need to see the humanity of that leader. So, Adam, I hope that this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any other thoughts, feedback, suggestions, follow up questions. I'd love to be able to make this a little bit more tailored for you. Um, but it looks like you got at least one nugget from me. Maybe how to phrase that question to leaders. Lindsay, I will show you. I will find that for you, Lindsay. And this is my email, and I'm going to drop this in the chat, Lindsay. If you send me an email with what you have, I will. It's Colton at donorrelations.com. If you send me an email with what you have, I'll see if that's what I'm looking for. And if not, I will go through because I've definitely put that particular impact report in a presentation. So I'll be able to find it. So send me that email, Lindsay, and I can help confirm if that's the report I was thinking about. Um, Anyone else have any questions? What's going on? There's certainly a lot going on in the world. Anybody else going through some leadership transitions? Adam, I'm glad that this was lots of good nuggets for you. If you have any follow-up questions, Adam, I'd be happy to answer them via email. I just dropped it in the chat. So, let me know. It doesn't have to end here in this moment, right? I'm happy to help. Any other questions? Anybody else going through leadership transitions? Statistics would say that yes, you are, right? So I know that this is a popular topic. If you have any other thoughts on that, friends, I would welcome you to chime in. Julie, and I know you are from Cornell. Julie from Cornell, can you talk about your thoughts on tribute gift acknowledgments? Is a deep exhalation a thought, Julie? Because my Lanta, they are so burdensome at times. Lynn provides the stat that our retention rate for tribute gifts is less than 7%. So when you think of the acknowledgement process or process, if you're from Canada, if you think of the acknowledgement process for those tribute gifts, it has to be efficient. I know that we have to send them, right? Because that is part of our duty is to create those acknowledgments and say, hey, Colton, somebody gave this gift in your honor to Purdue University. But it has to be fast. And Julie, my friends at UMass Amherst Foundation, hi friend, shout out if you're watching. I've been working with their team on doing these tribute acknowledgments, and we've done them digitally. They have done it for a few years now, and it's a lot faster just to be able to say, get it done digitally and then sent out. And of course, if we don't have an email, we can always do something in paper, but digital first for those is a really great option. If you don't want to go down the email route or your leadership is struggling, I would outsource that. And what I mean by that is you create the list and clean it up, and then you work with a vendor and you just mail the vendor a list and say, create these. The reason you got to be careful to clean it up, Julie, is that you know this, but sometimes there'll be 50 gifts. So someone may have made 50 gifts in my honor, which unlikely, but would be a wonderful thing. Someone could have made 50 gifts in my honor, so I don't want to be getting 50 note cards. So a lot of it is you're deduping and cleaning that up and then sending out one letter. But I would have a vendor. Oh, Julie, you lost the position in a hiring freeze. Yeah. So in that case, maybe vendor is your best route because that's not a new body or a new person. So maybe you start sending that vendor that list. Other solutions maybe are just digital, creating a template and then doing a mail merge in an email and then, blessing and releasing that as what it is. So I hope that helps, Julie. Let me know your thoughts, any other feedback or follow-up questions you have. I'd be happy to answer that. Lindsay writes, not sure about you, Julie, but I battle with my annual giving team about whether or not to acknowledge as part of first time donor welcome. So, Lindsay and friends, I will just say that at DRG, we advocate for not including tribute gifts as a first time in the welcome series. The reason is a lot of times these people are not giving to our organizations, but through it, like if that makes sense. So, yes, they are making a donation legally to, um, you know, Cornell University, but really they're giving it to me because I went there and they have no other linkage or affinity with the organization. I think you can make an argument for saying that if they're an alum or have a previous giving history, well, if they have previous giving history, they wouldn't be a first time donor. But maybe if they're a university alumna, and they have that connection or parent, then maybe you do include them in that welcome series. But by and large at DRG, we don't typically advocate for including tribute gifts because again, people tend to give a gift to me, the honoree. I know legally, yes, 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 they're giving it to Cornell, but really they're doing it because I asked or to honor me rather than their belief or support of your mission. I've said that repeatedly, but their response is when we solicit, they respond. Exhausting. Yeah, it is. It is exhausting. And that same logic, Lindsay will say, well, when we include an envelope in a giving envelope in our annual report, we always get gifts back. And my response to that is, why are we prioritizing these short-term wins, right, over long-term relationship building? Lindsay, the number one reason, according to the AFP Fundraising Effectiveness Project, according to the AFP Fundraising Effectiveness Project, the number one reasons donors stop giving to nonprofit organizations is they are asked too many times for money. And what we have found when doing focus groups with donors is that there is no such thing as a soft ask. Donors see an envelope or a give now button, and the whole piece becomes a solicitation. They're very savvy. And the minute they see that give now, they're like, oh, well, this is a cash grab. You're like, oh, no, it was a beautiful impact report. But then it loses, excuse me, its meaning when we put a giant red give now button, or the first thing they see in the corner of our newsletter is donate now, right? Then it becomes just another vehicle for a solicitation. So yes, we will have those short-term wins, but long-term we are kind of harming ourselves and our future capacity because it drops our donor retention down. Julie, is there a vendor you recommend? We are already all digital, but it's a full-time job. Julie, I love our friends at Kirkwood Connect. Our friend Chip has been a wonderful friend and colleague, but he works with so many different organizations. Ashley, if you're listening, will you drop Kirkwood's website in the chat for Julie on Facebook? But they're an awesome partner and they do a really, really good job of working with all different types. Thanks, Ashley, of organizations and vendors. And Chip Stein is just a wonderful human being. So tell him DRG sent him your way. Lindsay, any jobs over there at Cornell or at DRG or at AFP, right? I don't know. There seems to be lots of open jobs at a lot of different places. So just have a hard time filling them, it sounds like. But um, Julie, I hope that this has been helpful, kind of getting a perspective on tribute acknowledgments. In summation, make it as quick and efficient as possible because we just do not see a great return on those donors, not a good retention on them. So really, we have to do it and we need to make it as efficient as possible. Accurate, of course. We're not trying to just say, scattershot responses, but really needs to be very efficient. So hope that's helpful. Julie and Lindsay, appreciate your questions. I see one from Stacy. Stacy, I am with the Glacier National Park Conservancy, and we are getting ready to have an executive director transition. Currently recruiting for our new leadership. Stacy, I hope that my comments to Adam at Sonoma State were helpful. The more you can involve donors in the behind the scenes, behind the curtain as you can, the better off you're going to be. Set up some time for listening tours and really let the ask from your new leader. The first ask they need is not for money. It's, will you give me of your time to help me understand what it means to support Glacier National Park Conservancy? Help me understand what it means to be a donor here and why you support our organization so that I can take that learning and be a more effective fundraising leader. So great, great questions here, my friends. I'd be happy to answer some more. If there are any other follow-up questions, we've got about 15 minutes or so left. You can see me do a song and dance, but more importantly, I would love to be useful and effective for you in offering my advice and feedback. Looking through the comments here. I think we're all caught up. Again, here to help. So please let me know. Oh, Stacy is an SSU alum. Oh, that's awesome. Isn't it funny? Small world wherever you go. Looking to see if I've missed anything there. Francis, hi from Kalamazoo. Francis just joined our team as our integrated marketing specialist. We're so grateful to have Francis on board. Thanks for tuning in, Francis. What other questions are we grappling? Oh, Mary. Hey, Mary. Mary writes, how are teams tracking current use funds to create impact reports? Mary, I couldn't even finish reading before my head kind of hit the headrest of my chair. The drama, of course, is like the hardest thing to do. Mary, I have worked with GW and their reporting, George Washington University, and their reporting team for several years now. Raise high, and we have done current use impact reporting, and it is a super collaborative relationship with our business office colleagues, and that is the only way that we've been able to handle it, because we just don't have that vision or view of kind of the real-time updates. Um, a lot of times when we have had good luck, Mary, getting sort of the backup documentation for the fund transfers, from donor accounts to other accounts. So at GW, the business office, there's some paperwork to fill out, and then there's kind of like a reason or what is the purchase supporting, and then we get some of those details that way. The other uh, tip or trick from other institutions that I've worked with is, getting kind of Banner or SAP or whatever your finance team uses access, pulling some reports and then, asking folks what that means, right? maybe it's a survey of, hey, this looks interesting or promising. Can you help me figure out what this was? I'd love to learn more about it as I prepare this impact report. Um, I've done kind of fund administrator surveys before for current use impact reporting, where I say, what would not have been possible without these funds, right? That's probably too many double negatives for certainly for me right now, but what did these funds make possible? What would have had to wait for another year had you not had this current use funds? So kind of a hodgepodge approach, but I have had luck getting Banner, SAP, PeopleSoft, whatever financial administrative tools your organization uses. I have had luck getting them, and then finding out who fund administrators are and just asking some follow-up questions. It is very manual, but I think that's, you can set your threshold of reporting for current use funds maybe a little higher because of that. And, the other part, to be a little bit heartening is that if it's a popular fund where a lot of folks are giving, you can recycle or reuse that report and just make a few tweaks to make it personal to the donor, right? So I actually love fund-based reporting for this reason, because once I do all the legwork for, the I think Mary, you work in healthcare, but for the um, chair of anesthesiology's greatest needs fund, whatever. Once I do that report, I can then send it to anyone who gave to that fund, and then it's created already for us. So I have found that that is a good way to take one report and fashion it to many people. And then if people are principal or leader donors to the fund, we can, maybe add a special message or a video message to a company so that it's a little bit more personal. Maybe some of the big expenditures, maybe the people who are using those equipment, for example, can do a little video and talk about what it means for their work. So not a really clean answer, I'm afraid, Mary, but again, I hope that's helpful. If you have any follow-up or any additional comments or feedback, I would absolutely welcome the chance to provide a little bit more context. Lindsay, would love to know if you have any awesome examples of digital impacts reports that you've seen. We would love to go completely digital next year. Lindsay, you actually already linked to our website there for samples and resources. But when you email me, or if you choose to email me, I can send you some of my personal favorites as well. Hard to think on the fly, but I have seen some really good ones in the healthcare space. One adorable example that pops up is I got it was a digital report with a thank you video that came from the Child Life little dogs, therapy animals, and it came from them. It was so cute. And the video was like, the little dog talking about it was like a day in their life. Oh, gosh, it was so cute. So I'll send you that example. Some organizations that I know do it really well are Colorado Children's. I've seen some great reports come from them. Texas Children's does a really nice job as well. We've worked with CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, before. They do some awesome work. Boston, I think there's some of course, the name escapes me now, but my friend Anne, if you're tuning in, Anne does some really awesome reports at Boston, maybe Boston General. Brigham and Women's does some good reports as well, but I'll think of them. But yeah, if you send send me that email. It looks like you already have. I would love to be able to send you some of my personal favorites. Uh, yeah, Ashley, thanks for chiming in. StoryRaise is a great vendor for digital reports that can be personalized. Um, they have a gorgeous platform. Ashley, if you don't mind just kind of relinking in the chat there that Hawaii Community Foundation example, so everybody has it and it's fresh. You can just see the capabilities of this tool and platform. It is so gorgeous, and a lot of times the platform really does help. because if you have a good template and a solid interactive kind of interface, it just makes your content come to life. So, Ashley, yeah, thanks for dropping it in the chat again for us. Um, StoryRaise is a great vendor, and this Hawaii Community Foundation example turned out really well. Looking through my chat here, thinking we're all up to date. Does anybody else have any questions in our remaining time together? Kind of recapping some conversations, we've talked about leadership transitions, we've talked about capital campaign facility impact reporting, we've talked about current use impact fund impact reporting, we've talked about tribute acknowledgments. Happy to chat further about any of those topics, or if you have another topic that you're curious about. Um, I love this opportunity to provide you with some useful feedback based on what I've seen in my own client work and what DRG has seen as well, working with our many, 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 many clients. So please don't hesitate to ask. I would love to make this time, maybe your lunchtime. I would love to make it as helpful to you as possible. While we wait for more questions, I do want to highlight some of our upcoming events. I'm so excited to be heading to Chicago. I just got back from Seattle and Singapore. Let me tell you, the weather in Singapore was a bit different than what I'm experiencing in central Indiana. But I'm so excited for our Four Pillars conference in Chicago. We're doing it a little differently. We're doing it cohort style. So what we mean by that is, it's one of those happy accidents, that good Bob Ross quote. But we had a really small group talk about. We really had a small group, excuse me, when we were in New York for kind of a 1 day add on. And we said, let's just do this in a small group setting. And we went through all of the four pillars. And it was so neat to be able to learn from each other, really dive into the workbook. And what we plan to do is kind of lump you all together by different organization types, because we know that we have a ton of friends in higher education, but we've also got them in healthcare and community nonprofits and social services. So, kind of lumping you all together so that you can have more direct peer to peer interaction is something we're really, really excited about. So, Ashley has put the link for both Nashville and Chicago. We'd love to see you there. Chicago is going to be the Four Pillars cohort experience. Nashville, we're going to be talking a lot about event design and event experience. Nashville will be super fun as well, with some surprise and delight moments as well. So that'll be neat. But yeah, Chicago is the one that's coming up in the end of March, and would love to see you there. If you've not had the chance to join us for a conference, listen, I came up going to DRG conferences, and now I get to present at them. So totally a full circle moment, but also I can tell you firsthand just how valuable and how directly applicable they are to our work as a practitioner. I learned so many things from those DRG conferences, and would love to have the privilege of sharing that knowledge with you. That's enough on what we're doing, but any other questions? I still see about 16 of you online. If there are any other questions I can answer, it would truly be my pleasure. I say questions I can answer, but any advice I can give, any feedback I can provide, I'd be happy to do so. Need to work on not promising answers, because that seems to be like there's a right or a wrong. But I'm certainly happy to provide feedback for sure. Oh, thank you. I hope it's maybe Karina. Thanks. Thank you for that lovely comment. I'm hoping that this is helpful, and maybe everyone takes a nugget or two away. I know that, we're all pressed for time and we go to these resources and go to these resource providers like DRG, hoping to get those useful tips and tricks. So I'm glad, Karina. Thanks for saying that. Not seeing any new chats, but again, we still got a few time. You got me for an hour, my friends, and I'll song and dance until that hour is up. Um, so hard to believe that it is already Wednesday. Ugh. But hey, it's no longer January. January seemed to be a whole month and a half, 2 months of its own, but February's kind of been flying by. Hopefully, you've got some. I'm interested if you've got any cute Valentine's Day donor stewardship. I know that's coming up. If you've got any cute Valentine's Day stewardship ideas, Ashley, I am going to put you to work, my friend, but we did talk about a blog with holidays to celebrate. And I know one of them was maybe Phoenix Children's that did that really cute Valentine. If you can be quick on the search there, but we have some cute ideas, and I think Valentine's Day is such a fun holiday to celebrate with donors. People always ask, "Well, is it weird to say you love your donors?" I'm like, "No, we do. We love their donors, and we are grateful for the love that they show us. We don't say like, I'm in love with you, but we say thanks for showing us the love. Let us." Take a special moment on this day to share how much your support and uh, generosity means to us, what a difference it makes in our organizations. So that is a blog topic on our website. I have seen that before. So Ashley, if you are here with us, I would love to be able to post that in the chat. I think it was Phoenix Children's. Oh, here, I found it. Look at me. I typed in Phoenix. Here's one. I did this example talking about holiday cards, but there's a really cute example from Phoenix Children's on here for my friends in healthcare in particular. It's super applicable. I just love it. So, on that note, we are coming to an end of our time. It's been a privilege to sit here and to spend some time with you all. Hope all of those of you who have tuned in have gotten a few useful nuggets, a few good tips and tricks to take out into your practice. Um, I have provided my email. It's colton@donorrelations.com. If anything I said, you were like, huh? Or you just want some follow up, I'd be happy to reply. Thank you so much for your important work. We are so grateful. Julie, thanks for dropping in that Valentine's Day love. Thank you. Thank you. Um, we are so grateful for your time and care and attention. And thank you for serving our sector so thoughtfully and carefully and with such pride. So, on that, I'm going to hop off here, but take care of yourself, those you love, your donors, and be well. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye, friends.